Today on Locked On Rockies, for the first time since 2006, the Colorado Rockies lose 1-0 at Coors Field as the Rockies offense can't handle the Padres.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 22nd day of April in the year 2026. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies podcast, where you can find us on YouTube as well. Folks, we are breaking down a miserable, really annoying game from the Colorado Rockies, specifically a really annoying game from the Rockies offense, especially, and really just one of those games that is overall forgettable, but one that just has a lot to be really annoyed by, but also a lot to be really encouraged by. And I have an interesting comment that I got on Twitter that I want to dive into today as the lens for this episode. But before we do that, just want to remind you that I am Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. I've been bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast for over 6 seasons now. That's hundreds of episodes of the Locked On Rockies podcast with you, the Rockies fans, going through the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between when it comes to Rockies baseball. And that one, I'm going to file in the ugly category. But I want to start by opening it up and seeing if this is how you all reacted to this, because the person on Twitter is not wrong. But is that the way to look at this game? Is this the way to look at the loss? And so Trey says, who cares? I said a bases loaded walk would be a silly way to lose this game and was the only downside of Dollander's day. And Trey here says, who cares? San Diego pitcher gave up nothing. Dollander didn't. Case closed. So while that is a 100% true statement, for me, my takeaway from this game was Dollander didn't perform, or it was not Dollander didn't perform. It's the Rockies offense was dominated again by a team, obviously a great pitching team, a team that has one of, if not the best bullpen in baseball, but a team that against a good Dodgers staff, against a good Dodgers bullpen, made it uncomfortable. But the Rockies haven't figured out anything against the Padres, especially against Vasquez, who cruised through this game. I can't sit here and put the blame on the pitching staff here when the pitching staff racks up 15 strikeouts with one walk. The only walk of the game was the one with bases loaded that brought in the go-ahead and eventually winning run. Chase Dollander was brilliant again. Yes, he had the walk. Yes, they're the hits. It was bases loaded, whatever. But the line is 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. That's an incredible performance, especially for Chase to follow up another big strikeout day with another big strikeout day as he continues to thrive in this role. I refuse to sit here and say that the Rockies pitching staff was the issue in this one. Case closed. The case is far from closed. The Rockies mustered 3 hits in this game. The Rockies had 14 in a row set down. I believe it got all the way up to 17 in a row. I can't remember what inning the Rockies broadcast was talking about it, but the Rockies offense was putrid. The Rockies approach was horrible. And again, tip the cap, good pitching staff. The Rockies schedule continues to be tough, but this game right here is the number one example with the bullet of the Rockies will win or lose because of the offense. That's the case closed. The case closed is the Rockies pitching staff struck out the Padres 15 times and held them to 6 hits with only 1 walk and only gave up 1 run in that situation. And the Rockies could only muster up 3 hits while striking out 8 times and not drawing a single walk. The Rockies' biggest problem is the offense. It is this team's, and again, it's not a surprise. The team's offense is not built with the number one talent, all-star talent, the best roster in the business. I understand that, but look, I was just going through that lens there of just reading that comment from social media, and it's like I said, it's just a small thing, but this game was the one where it feels like you're playing, you're running on the hamster wheel if you've been following the Rockies, where it's just a team in an offensive friendly environment, the team can't execute to even get an opportunity to score. There was a hit by a pitch. The Ezekiel Tovar got hit by a pitch. I do need to correct that. They did draw that, but that's not necessarily the same type of thing as a walk. But for it to be, strikeout down the line for everybody, a multi-strikeout day for Julian, for it to be first pitch outs for the Rockies to just. They are living and dying by their aggression. They will just as much as there was the stats of the Rockies being successful on firing at the first pitch and how when they put the ball in play the numbers are looking good, but that's what they're going to live and die by. The Rockies offense is not going to look like Kyle Karros more often than not. They're not going to have a guy that is the third, I believe was the third highest percent of counts that go to full counts is among qualified hitters to start the year is Kyle Karros here. This is just one where you're just wasting special moments from the Rockies pitching staff. 15 strikeouts. The only way the Padres could score was on a bases loaded walk, and the Rockies couldn't even muster up any sort of a response. And for them for it to just be just 3 in a row, for it to just be set them up, knock them down. It's just so annoying. And I get it. I understand what the state of the roster is. I understand the roster construction. I understand the names on the roster. It ain't chock full of all-stars, but it doesn't make it any less annoying. Hitting is a very difficult thing to do. It's a big challenge. It is we got and it's again a very good Padres pitching staff. Just to go back here and just to emphasize the how good they've been as a pitching staff. 3.36 with a whip of 1.21, 212 strikeouts. Opponents batting only 231 against them, and 76 walks there on the season. But comparatively so, the Rockies aren't too far off. The Rockies overall batting, like the overall team statistics for the Rockies favor them in certain areas here, but they still, it's just the Padres have their freaking number. So I just think I'm curious what your takeaway out of this game is. Is this the another example of the Rockies offense being the letdown, or does the pressure need to be on Chase Dollander to get out of that situation, to avoid that situation? I don't know. That's pretty tough. That's pretty tough to hang it on him when the Rockies offense had no answer for San Diego yet again. Let's highlight again. Let's just take a look here a little bit more at how good the pitching staff is or has been. Let's take a look at the unfortunate history, and we'll get some of your reaction to this game. All coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And boy, do we feel that right now. Nuggets Nation. Oh my goodness, man. Freaking Timberwolves. FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it super easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Bet on the Nuggets for a bounce back. Believe big in our boys and go get that $250 in bonus bets after your first bet wins. Go something simple and easy, something that you'll know hit, and you get those bonus bets. Head to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Locked on Rockies, back with you all here. Segment number 2 of today's episode. Hey, make sure you're getting the show ad-free, checking it out there, as the also getting access to the Everydayer Club Discord server where we're talking on Rockies game day. And if you have some questions, we can fire them off. Let me know what's on your mind there. We're always chatting and enjoying it. But I did not enjoy, man, just one of those games where you're just like, well, that happened. That existed. But one of the things that is important for this Rockies offense, and one of the things that we brought up before, and why it's they need to turn things around and go for they can't get swept here. And because that would have the Rockies fall below 500 at home. And while they could easily, change that, there's a lot more games to come. That's one of those small benchmarks I want the Rockies to keep. The Rockies, if they're able to get the win tomorrow, to snap the losing streak against the Padres, to do some damage on offense, they can get to 10-15 on the season and 7-5 at home. Build a little bit more of a gap between that, and give yourself a little room between falling below 500 at home. It's just one of those things where the Rockies are clearly a more confident and more comfortable team at Coors Field. The numbers have shown it. They have been a much better offense here, but it's also just one of those. It's just one of those small things that I want to keep track of throughout this season, right? It's one of those little areas that we want to follow throughout the season and make sure that that's one where we're looking for gauging success this season, right? That home record is going to be one of the things that I look at there. Man, it just, we talked about it. It's just such a shame to spoil pitching performances like that, especially at Coors Field. I mean, it is just one of those, it really anywhere. I mean, this was a really phenomenal performance from the Rockies bullpen, which has continues to be great. But it still goes to show you how much the Rockies are still looking for that clutch. We talk about learning to win and stuff, right? And we've talked, and this has been one of those points that we've talked about before. I don't get a lot of a sense of when the Rockies are up there, it just doesn't feel that they're overly confident in their ability to get it done. It seems like, it really does seem like it's pressing too much. They're just really trying to be aggressive and trying to go with maybe like a swing and a prayer sometimes. But on top of that, I just don't see that. I just don't get that same type of like, oh boy, here comes with some of the elite hitters in the league, where it's just, man, those quality at bats. That's really what I want to start seeing. Not only do I want to see obvious, production from the Rockies offense, I really do want to see a little bit more of. I really hope the Kyle Karros approach trickles through to the rest of the Rockies offense and helps out, because I just think that these types of games, I don't think we've seen the last of these types of games this year. And hopefully they don't come in 1-0 losses in the way that they did. but it's just a until they can get that clutch bat, until they can get that part of the lineup, that guy in the lineup really going, really performing, really doing, excelling on offense, like Hunter Goodman was in certain instances. We've seen Tovar before, but the Rockies not having that big bat in the lineup, it just does not. I'm trying to find the best way to say it. It just doesn't build any anticipation for me. I'm just the Rocky. Anytime the Rockies have been coming up here, it's like, oh, maybe, but even still, no one is like the just recent the Yordan Alvarez, the Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I'm listing superstars, I'm listing megastars, I know, but that's what's a bummer about still being this far behind in the rebuild too, right? Where it's just like, golly, we still don't have that big bat. We still don't have that guy that's putting the fear in the pitcher like Arenado and Story did, especially Arenado. I mean, when Arenado was in a groove, it was unlike anything else. And there's others. I'm just going with the more recent squads as well. You can go to the Bombers, you can go to Tulo, Cargo, Holiday, Blackman. I mean, there's a long list of those feared Rockies hitters of those guys. You know, anytime you hear people talk about Todd Helton, oh my goodness, we hate pitching that guy, we hate throwing on that guy because he does XYZ, and really it was just because Todd Helton would spoil pitch, fight pitches off, and be just such a professional hitter that how could you not be annoyed? I think this is one of those growing pains with the Rockies being behind the eight ball in the analytical world as well. They're a lot of these guys during their development time was at a point where the Rockies had little to no investment in that. We've heard about the different approaches, the different philosophies between levels. We've heard and seen the struggles of Rockies players going from AAA to the major leagues and performing there. These types of games are just that harsh reminder that the Rockies are far off from being a club that knows how to win games and have guys in their lineups that are going to win games. And there's the, Mickey Moniak still got, maybe has a little bit of that, has a little bit of an edge. Hunter Goodman as well. But man, it's one thing about playing this loaded schedule to start the season is the fact that the Rockies offense has just been so overshadowed by some of the big names and some of the big moments and some of the big performances. But it's still an offense that's capable of doing damage. This is still an offense that has those flashes, that has those moments, that can fight back against the Dodgers, can and split that series, can sweep the Astros, and put up in that series, going 5 runs at least in that series in every single game. I mean, this is a team that did do some damage against the Padres. This is a team that had a lead, but they got big brothered again. I know I say that a lot, but this was a clear case of the Rockies just not having that clutch factor, and not having that big fearsome bat in the lineup. And I know it's an in-game adjustment. I know you got to trust what the scouting report. You got to trust your tool set, trust what you got, trust what you go for. But man, when you're going down 3 in a row, when you're going down constantly, when it's just the 3 up, 3 down, set them down, I do wonder, what is that conversation at the major league level? What do you say? What can you say? What do you do? It's the middle of the game. You got to get out there and go play defense. You got to go get ready for the next thing. What really can you do in game to make that adjustment? But that's what separates, right? That's what separates the ball players. I mean, that's what separates the amateurs from the pros, and that's what separates the pros from the all-stars. This one just has me annoyed. And that whole segment was just ranty. I know, but I just feel so annoyed by the Rockies offense. And just, again, one of those situations where you get jealous as a Rockies fan, just seeing the state of other teams and just where other teams are making moves, making things happen. And geez, just 1-0, something that hasn't happened in 20 years. Rockies have been good about snapping the bad history, but not in this one. That was an ugly one. That is an ugly loss, and it spoils a darn good performance from Chase Dollander, man. That's what really stinks about this, is the fact that the walk from Chase Dollander not only gets him the loss, but it's going to be the only thing remembered about that, instead of the fact that he had 67 strikes, 9 strikeouts on 102 pitches over 6 very strong innings, and his offense couldn't do diddly squat to back him up. That's the real story. All right, let's take a couple of comments here and then wrap things up on this episode of Locked On Rockies. Back with you all here for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Sorry, I've been such a stinker today. I'm just annoyed by this one. That was an annoying game. It was an annoying one to watch, so I am annoyed. Let's hope that Tomoyuki Sagano can out-duel Walker Buehler tomorrow, as let's make it an uncomfortable place for Walker Buehler here. Not a lot of home runs, but the ERA is still 4.58 with a whip of 1.25. 18 strikeouts on the season for Buehler, 6 walks here. He's allowed 16 hits. On the other side, Sagano, 5 home runs allowed, 5 walks, 15 Ks, 19 hits, and 20 innings worth of work. The whip is 1.16, and the ERA is 3.92. If they're going to hit home runs, keep them to solo shots, as Sagano has done a lot and hopefully continues to do so. Okay, let's read a couple of comments here. And this is from Lux. I was really hoping we could beat the Padres at home, especially because we lost all 4 games in San Diego. Still could take the series, hopefully, but I'm a little less confident. Yeah, I mean, it's understandably so. That is a confidence shaker and an annoying loss as well. But every day is a new day, right? That's the beauty of baseball, and again, I will be curious to see. It's not. Can the Rockies offense bounce back against a guy that hasn't had been wonderful to start the year, but again, a guy that was very successful against the Rockies? I think what's extra annoying too is the Rockies are seeing the same exact rotation that they saw in the last series against San Diego, and for it to be, again, no adjustment, for it to be the same old song and dance, for it to be shut down, for it to be dominated again. Tip of the cap to the opponent, but still annoying and still a frustrating one there for the Rockies. I've said that word like a million times. Sorry. All right. This was in response to one of our clips from yesterday about me being okay with where the Rockies are at right now. This is what Godo says. Definitely headed in the right direction. I like the realistic approach to this episode. They've played tough teams and outperformed our expectations. Can we just enjoy this while it's here? Yeah, I mean, certainly. Just because I've been annoyed and didn't enjoy this one doesn't mean that I do think it is important context when discussing the Rockies here. And even in episodes like this, where I've been annoyed and talking about all the stuff that I'm not liking and the trends here. These are good opponents. These are good teams. This is quality talent that the Rockies are playing to start the year. And if this is the level that they can play these teams at, I really hope that they are able to really exceed expectations when they get a break in the schedule, when they get an opportunity to play a team that isn't, a division leader. It'll be interesting to see. When looking and reflecting at where the Rockies are at, when breaking down the record, when acknowledging it, the schedule is a part of that conversation. It is not something that you can ignore or something that does not play a big factor here. Kyle says my Rockies over 52.5 wins bets feeling nice so far. I really like this team and their approach on both sides of the ball. I wish I could agree with you on the offensive approach because I don't like it. But as much as I can sit here and cross my arms and say I don't like it and all this stuff. Well, it is what it is too, right? Like just like we were talking about how much adjustments can you make in game. How much can you? How many adjustments can you make at this stage for some of these guys? But they got it. There are bad habits, and there has to be ways for the Rockies to take better in quality at bats, despite the hitter profiles. It's going to take work. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience, which I didn't have this episode. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, we got you covered for all your baseball action with Locked On MLB, the Back to the Bullpen podcast, and Locked On MLB Game Night. So make sure you are staying up to date with all things baseball. But if you need playoff Colorado sports action, Locked On Broncos, well, that was for the football playoffs. Locked On Avalanche and Locked On Nuggets got you covered there. As we hold our breath about the Nuggets. And as of recording, the Avalanche is delayed. Oh, my goodness. What does that mean? Interesting. Was there a bad injury? Oh, rink repair. Okay. Sorry. Well, it's a 0-0 tie for the Avalanche as of now. But they got you covered with all your postseason recaps and breakdowns there. Plus, Locked On Broncos and Locked On Buffs got you covered with all things there as well. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.